Hey, it's Laura from My Home Matters, and today I'm going to explain how I made these adorable little yarn gnomes. Supplies you're going to need are a good pair of scissors, two types of yarn, a thinner for the hat and a thicker one for the body, a hot glue gun, a toilet paper or paper towel roll, a 3/4 inch wooden ball, I got mine at Hobby Lobby, and finally a 1-inch styrofoam ball, or you could use cotton balls. So the first thing I did was took a toilet paper roll, or it could be a paper towel roll, and cut about a 1/2 inch section off. So you can do several from one roll. Then I took something that was about the size. I used a CD holder. I actually used the length of my phone for this, but being that I was using it to videotape, I had to find something else. So I wrapped a thicker yarn around this CD holder or case, probably about 25 to 30 times. This is a little bit thicker of yarn. I liked that texture and feel for the body of the gnome, and I liked using a thinner yarn for the hats. So I think I did about 25 times around, and I started and stopped in the same place. So I started the yarn at the bottom and I ended at the bottom when I had gone around 25 times. So then clip the yarn after you've wrapped 25 times. Like I said, I started at the bottom of the CD case and ended at the bottom. And then I just slid that whole chunk of yarn off, keeping it wrapped like that, the best that I could. Slid it off of the case or whatever you're using. It could be a notebook, like a notepad that's a similar size. Then I took another maybe 12-inch strand of yarn, 10 to 12-inch strand of yarn, laid the wrapping that I had taken off the CD over that piece of yarn right in the middle and tied a tight double knot around the center of that chunk of yarn. Then you're going to take your scissors and gently clip all of the loops that had been formed by the original wrapping around the case or the notebook. So just go in and make sure that you've clipped them all. So you'll have loops on either side of that centerpiece of yarn. You just want to make sure you don't miss any of those little loops. Clip them all. Okay, so that's the little pom-pom. It might be a little bit uneven all over the place, but that's the pom-pom that we'll trim up later, but that will serve as the body of your gnome. So now we're going to work on the hat, which will require a thinner yarn. So I took what I had available, which happened to be a bottle of hand sanitizer. And again, you could use the shorter side of your phone, just whatever's going to give you, when you cut along the bottom, all of those strips that you're wrapping around, whatever's going to give you about 6, 7, 8 inches of yarn. And wrapping it around makes it so that you can get an even number of pieces quickly. So I wrapped mine around about probably 45 times, give or take. Again, it's going to depend on the kind of yarn. You can always cut more if you don't have enough, but you're going to clip along the bottom edge. Again, I started and stopped my yarn on the bottom. So then I clipped along the bottom of that water bottle, and that allowed me to have about 45 strands of the same length of that yarn. So what you're going to do is, for each piece of the hat, fold the piece in half and insert the folded side up in through the center of the toilet paper roll. And then you're going to grab the two ends and pull through that loop. And then you just kind of pull those down. Pull tight around the cardboard, but not so tight that you bend it or could rip it. Just enough to have it pretty taut against the cardboard. So you fold it in half, put the folded loop in through the center, and then grab the two ends of the yarn through that loop, and then pull the ends down away from the cardboard. So you're forming these strands in the same way all the way around this cardboard loop. And you just want to kind of keep everything even, line it up, check it as you go, keep lining them up, but it's kind of tedious. This is the part that will take the most time, but continue to do this all the way around. And then when you start to get to the end, or the last pieces, kind of keep squishing the pieces apart so that you can put more in. Sometimes it seems like forever that you can keep squishing and making more room, but at some point you just have to make the decision, okay, I can pull these back together a little bit. As long as you've covered the whole cardboard and you don't have obvious cardboard showing, then you have plenty. So I just kind of go around and make sure everything is even. Keep inserting until I'm happy with the amount that are there. And then I'll be ready to actually make it into a hat. So now that you have enough yarn, once you're happy with the amount, then you're going to push all of those pieces of strands through the center so that they come out the other side. This just allows it to look more like a band around the edge of the hat. So push them all through, kind of comb them out with your fingers a little bit, get them straight so they're not all twisted. Just make sure they're all pushed through the other side and smooth out the edge around the band to make sure that it looks fairly even. Now you're ready to take another one of your strands and tie it around that grouping of hair sort of that you've created, and tie a double knot nice and tight again. And that will kind of form the tassel cap look. And then you can trim all of those pieces to whatever length you would like. I kind of trim around, kind of thinking that it's sort of bowl-shaped on the top there. So I trim until I feel like it's how I want it. Next, I inserted a 1-inch styrofoam ball, but you could also use a couple of cotton balls for this. But before we go on, I wanted to show you what you could do if for some reason your cardboard rips. This happened to me as I was at the very end putting the last few pieces on. And you think, I just did all that work and I just ripped the cardboard. So when that happened, I just pulled away some of the pieces so that I could grab the cardboard itself and pull it out so that it was visible. And then I just hot glued it back together. And then I just made sure that that part, once it was all glued and wasn't coming back apart, I just made sure that that part was in the back, that was the back of my gnome. But it ended up working out okay, and I didn't have to start over. Okay, now it's time to attach the hat to the body. So what you want to kind of think about is having all of the pieces of yarn sort of going in the same direction. So I'm kind of just working this out just to give you an idea so that all of the yarn from that original snowball that you made are facing the same direction, kind of stemming from the tie that you tied. Then I'm going to apply a bead of hot glue all around the edge of the hat, and I even put a little bit on the styrofoam ball itself. My hot glue gun wasn't quite hot enough, so I had to keep really trying to squeeze enough out to get some on there. But you just need a quick bead all the way around and a little bit on the center if you're using that styrofoam ball. And then you just press the two together. You press that right on the top part of that snowball, again, with all of the pieces of yarn from the snowball facing downward. And then you just hold it there until it feels like it has set, and then your hat is attached. Then you can add the little nose. So I was using these just plain wooden balls that I got at Hobby Lobby. I'm not sure of the size. I'll have to look that up. Maybe 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch. I spread a couple of the pieces of yarn apart just so that I had a nice little spot to insert the nose for the gnome, and I put a little dollop of glue, and then I pressed the nose in and sort of up a little bit. I tried to get it not just pressing in against the yarn, but up a little bit under the hat. And then I just held that there for a second, and the next step would be to trim the body of your gnome. And you can do this as much as you want. You can do this as much like to form it actually into a little ball, or you can keep him a little looser and just try to even him up. But that's all I did. I took the scissors and I just kept trimming until I was happy with how I wanted the body. So I wanted to quickly give you a little demonstration of how you can make the body multiple colors. So say you wanted to do 2 colors, like this yellow and then the gray. So because these were both a thicker yarn and I wanted to incorporate both of them, I just started wrapping both around at the same time. It was very windy the day that I was doing this, so the toilet paper roll kept rolling back at me. But I didn't need to wrap it around 25 times like I did for the single color. Instead, I only needed to do about 12 to 13 times since I was doing double the yarn. I also made a much larger version using some really chunky yarn. If you'd like to see that, let me know. I will be happy to do another video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel and follow My Home Matters on social media.